Sorry, Abby, you might have posted the link before I was scrolled up, so apologies about that if you didn't have it posted already. All right. All right. I'm gonna stop sharing. Um, Abby, if you're still here, you can go remind the presenters to record. Great question. The breakout sessions will be 50 minutes. So the next session will go from 2:05 to 2:55. Thanks, Shemaya. Um, oh, sorry. Someone's asking if they can get the QR code again. Yes. Hold on one second. I usually have Abby for this, so, but she's gone off. Yeah, thank you, Shemaya. This is the link. So Aaliyah and Abigail, if you click on this link I just put into the chat, you should see the various breakout sessions. Just click the link. So scroll down on the page. Hold on, give me a second here. My Zoom, my Involvity is loading. I don't know if this is going to copy and paste properly, but I'm going to try for you. Give me a second. There you go. You can click any of the links here, and it should take you to one of those sessions. But if you look on the Involved It to You thing, it should have Taylor, which session did you try to go to? Is it the Tiger Stripes one? Because George, your direct message, it's the Treasurer's Workshop. This is the one for yes. So
Chris does the Tiger Stripes one, y'all. So y'all came back to the right one. So
yeah.
that's why.
So you're in the right space. Sorry. Yeah, this is going to be Tiger Stripes in just a session. Second. I'm trying to apologies about that. Hilarious. Okay, this is oops. Sorry, that was not supposed to go to you. All right, this is the event planning link. There was a link change for this one, so if it says it's waiting for it to start, you might have the old link. Try using this link I just put into the chat. All right, please tell me if that works. George, to your other question, the first or second Treasures Workshop, you can go to either one. There's one going to be offered in each time block, so you can pick which one you'd like to go to, okay? All right. Any other pressing questions before I get started for the next presentation? Yes, correct. The liability form needs to be submitted, but for every student going, you would need to have them fill out a liability waiver. So if you're taking 10 people on a trip off campus, all 10 would need to fill out a liability release form, correct? Okay. All right. Sorry for the little bit of, I'm not saying chaos, but we'll say took a little bit there to get all the link stuff sorted. All right. All right, give me a thumbs up or you can see my screen. Say yes. All right, guys, perfect. All right, give me 1 second here. I'll maximize it for you. All right, so if you're hanging out with me today, you're here for Tiger Stripes for spring 2025. So this session, I'm going to go over what is the Tiger Stripes program and what are the different benefits that you can receive here as a student organization on campus. And we're going to kind of break this down into two big sections, one about like the benefits piece and one about the requirements of what it takes to earn. I just realized one thing. Well, I'll deal with it when we get there. I'm gonna share my screen in a different way in just a second because I want you to see a very important resource for you all. But I'll get there when we get there. All right, so let's start with what is the Tiger Stripes program. So the Tiger Stripes program is our incentive-based program for student organizations. And the way we have it set up is there's 4 different packages for that offer different rewards for student organizations. So you guys kind of are going to be placed or get to pick which of the packages do you aim to go for. And you can earn what we call Tiger points through a variety of means to get these different benefits. It'll make sense in a second when I show you what the benefits and requirements are, but just know it's 4 different packages and every student org gets placed in the packages and we number them from 1 to 4, okay? The goals of our program here is to really encourage you guys as student organizations to develop your organizations. So we do a lot of leadership development training, community building, well-being. We believe these things help lead organizations to be more sustainable. And then we also want to incentivize our student organizations for positively contributing to campus life. So by hosting events, providing a space for students to interact with one another and come together around interests, like these are things that we want to reward. So this is our way of doing that. We focus on 3 primary things through the Tiger Stripes program: leadership development, fostering community, and then wellness. All right, so what are Tiger Points? Tiger Points is essentially our imaginary currency or credit that you earn for completing or attending different activities. So they're totaled for your organization over the course of the entire semester. Everybody begins right now. For spring 2025, everybody has 0 points. Everybody starts at 0, and then you can go up to whatever number that you pick. And essentially, there's various thresholds that you can cross, where if you cross above 50, you will then be put into package 2. If you cross up into 100, you become package 3. And if you cross over 150 throughout the course of the semester, you'll be get into package 4. This will be explained a little more detail a little bit later. But you have to earn the points during this current semester for them to count. So essentially, you have between now and literally the last day of classes to go to whatever point value you want for the right package for your club, okay? So everybody's at 0. You got all semester to work on earning your points. All right, so how does it actually work? So I mentioned you'll be earning points this semester. The key thing that's important to know is how the packages are assigned. So at the beginning of this semester, everybody was given a package number, and the number was based on what you ended last semester. So think about it, fall 2024, you guys earned points throughout that whole semester. You'll begin this semester at a specific number based on how many that based on those points that you did. So let's say last semester you earned 100 points. 100 points classifies to package 3. That would mean this semester you would start at package 3 and you would have all of those benefits that are associated with package 3. Okay. Now, this semester, let's say you're earning points again and you earn 150 points. By the end of this semester, that would mean next spring, or next, sorry, I always just do that. Next fall, when you start the next semester, you would, instead of being package 3, you would now be package 4. The big thing to note is you can jump, that you don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. You can go from 1 to 4, and you can also go from 4 to 1. So like as an organization, if you choose not to go for any Tiger points this semester, then next fall you would end up in package 1. Okay. So where can I find out what my group is currently? So yes, Kimberly, to your question, this PowerPoint will definitely be sent out for sure. It's actually, ironically, there's a version of this PowerPoint that's currently available on Involved@TU because I use a modified version every single semester. But the short answer is yes, you'll have access to it. All right, so Shamaya is doing the great thing of linking this into the chat already for me. But I'm actually gonna share my screen a little bit differently here in just a second because I want you to be able to know how. I'm sorry, I should turn off my email really quickly. Because I want you to be able to know how to navigate to the section that I'm at right now. So really quickly, let me change my share because this is probably the most important part of what I'm going to show you. So, because this document here, this is our Tiger Stripes Google document. Now, if you don't know how to get here, If you go to Involved at TU, so sorry, I have so many windows open here. So if you go to Involved at TU on the main page and you just scroll down, you'll see this campus link section that I was talking about all main session. There's a whole bunch of links down here, but the first link is this Tiger Stripes Google document. This here has all of the information for student organizations. You'll see every club is listed here on the left, and there's a whole bunch of numbers over here on the right, and I'm going to kind of walk you through what this all means. All right, the biggest thing first off, I will note, this is fall 2024. There will be a new sheet for spring 2025. Part of this is Abby's first day back is literally today, and we've been just literally behind on getting everything prepped. But essentially, there will be a new blank document with none of this stuff filled in that'll start essentially before school starts. So once the new form is up, you will essentially be earning points. But what will be here is actually the red column will become the new column over here. So you can see here in the red. Sorry, it might be a little bit small. Let me zoom in a bit. Oh my gosh. You can see over here in the red, there is a whole bunch of numbers, and it'll show you what groups are listed for what package numbers. And they really go from 1 to 4. Okay. Sorry, this is too awkward for me to actually do. You may not be able to read everything on the sheet, but that's okay. Okay. There's a couple different sections here that I want you to pay attention to. This green section here are the mandatory requirements for all student organizations. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but you can see you just get an X if you've completed it. So you need these 3 X's to essentially be in good status. So you're already doing the first one today by coming to the summit. The Involved at TU registration was the thing I talked about before, and then having an active advisor. Okay, those are the 3 main requirements for all groups. Everything else over here are different opportunities that you can participate in as a student organization to earn points. Now, granted, these are the ones from fall 2024. We have a new sheet coming, but you will be able to go to the Google Doc here and see all the different opportunities. So let's pick one as an example. Befriending your nervous system here says you can earn 5 points, 10 points max per date that you go. So essentially, if you have 2 people go to this event, this group here got 10 points for going to this event. And then if you look over here in the white column, you can see the total points, which really just sums up all the other columns together, okay? So the last thing I want you to note is if you're ever like, well, how do I figure something out? I see befriending your nervous system, but like, I don't know what this is. If you hover your mouse over any of the columns at the top, you'll see it talks about here are the dates that you need to go, what the workshop's about. There's a link to the actual page that you can go to on Involved at TU. It talks about it being from 2 to 4, October 15th, etc. So essentially you can use this document to find out how to get like the networking workshop October 8th, etc. So we put everything on this one sheet so you can kind of learn how to earn the points. The other thing that will exist is this, although this is from last semester's. This is a calendar that shows all of the events in a different format that are happening, August, September, October, November, December. So you'll be able to kind of see this, and then there's a points column here, so you can kind of map out like how many points are you going to get from each event. Okay. All right. So that's a key thing. Google Docs really important. You're going to hear it referenced multiple times in this presentation. If you forget everything else I say, I would just recommend if you go there and literally hover around, a lot of the information for like how to actually do pretty much everything I'm going to go over in this presentation is written out there. Okay. All right. So let's start here. So I started talking about this, but so you can actually see it. 1 second, let me bring up chat again just in case anybody's asking questions. All right, so starting with package 1, this is our minimum requirements for all student organizations to remain an active group. There's no package 0, so essentially you have to do these things to stay a student organization. Attending the summit, you're here. Completing the Involved TU registration, and you don't need to redo your advisor form for the spring semester unless your advisor is changing for some reason. You are good for this semester. So it's really just the top 2 things. So all groups have to have all 3 of these things done by March 1st. That is our deadline if you want to remain in good standing. If you want to earn any package status for the fall semester, like you need to have these things done by March 1st. You will get an obnoxious amount of reminder emails from Abby and myself, but just know that this is really important. Then everything else is optional. Now, if like you're like as a student organization, like Chris, you talked about all these other benefits. We don't really care about those things. We don't need those. We're just trying to do our thing and we don't want to be bogged down in all this other stuff. That's totally cool. That's up to you guys to decide. But if you want these extra things that I'm going to talk about in a second, packages 2, 3, and 4, they come in at these 3-point thresholds, 50, 100, 150. And basically the way it works is you don't need like to get to package 3, 100 plus 50 for package 2. It's just 100 to 149.9 points is package 3, 150 plus is package 4, etc. The deadline for your point total is May 13th. That is the last day of class. Connor, it's more like if your advisor informed you that they're retiring or for some reason doesn't want to advise your club. By changing, I meant more like your advisor says they can't advise you anymore. That's the most common thing. Or unless your group is choosing to try to change its advisor. All right, so I mentioned the Involved at TU re-registration. This has already been emailed out in December. You'll get many other reminder emails. I'm not going to go into step-by-step stuff, but on this slide talks about how to go about re-registering your club. So essentially, you can wait till you get the emails for it, but you need to make sure you re-register your club each semester. It lets us know in student activities like me and Abby that your group is still active, you still want to be a club, and that we have the most up-to-date contact information for your group. Whoever does this form becomes the primary contact for the club, and that'll give you full administrative rights to edit the rest of the stuff on the page. Okay. I mentioned this, but all student organizations, you have to stay at least to package 1. If you are a new group, which I don't think there's any here that this would classify, but any groups that start this semester, so let's say in like 3 weeks from now, a new group starts, they automatically get package 1 benefits, but they can't start advancing packages until the following semester. There's a longer explanation for why that's important, but because it doesn't apply to anybody here, you guys should all be, for the most part, unless there's somebody I don't know about in the room, you were all founded last semester, so you should be good for this semester. All right, so let's talk about some of the benefits. So like, all right, Chris, you're talking a lot about like all of these benefits. What are they? So package 1 benefits. So these are the universal benefits that all student organizations have access to. So if you're a student group on this campus and you're in good standing, you automatically are going to be granted these benefits. And they look like this. First off, you're going to be able to place room reservations, to have space for meetings, events, and things on campus. You are eligible to participate in the involvement fair. Non-registered groups, they do not get space held for them. You'll be officially listed as a student organization on Involved at TU and recognized as such. So being actually an official club with your own space and marketing materials, that is one of the things that you're advantaged by being a club. A WordPress site or an email alias, I'll talk a little bit about what those are, but those are open to you if you'd like them. Posting privileges on campus. So all the stuff I said in the first thing about posting flyers or on digital screens, if you're not a registered club, you're not getting the stamp and you're not going to be able to put things up around campus. So by being a registered group, you're allowed to do that. And then the ability to make special fund requests from SGA, I'll talk about that in a second. I have somebody who wrote a question. If you're found at the end of last semester, you need to do the re-registration form. Yes, everybody does. Even though I know you guys are very brand new, just please fill out the form. It'll take you 2 seconds. Good question, though. All right, room reservations. I talked about this in the last thing, so I'm not going to go into detail, but this is the biggest benefit for being, I say the biggest, but it's one of the biggest benefits or primary reasons people even form clubs is so that they can actively get together on campus. So this is afforded to all student organizations. The thing I didn't talk about in the main session that you should know, generally speaking, setup for your events like tables, chairs, things of that nature are generally free most of the times for student organizations. Sometimes you're doing certain stuff outdoors, they may charge you a nominal fee for certain things, but generally that setup stuff for like your weekly meetings and things won't cost you any money. What will cost you money is if you're utilizing technical equipment or you need labor for somebody to work like a spotlight or a sound monitor for outside or something like that. any sort of tech stuff, if it's in the Union or West Village Commons, they're going to charge you for that. So just be aware. The training talks about this that you'd have to do to become a requester, but just know that that stuff will generally cost your group money unless you're doing something in an academic space like a classroom where you actually don't get charged if you use like the projector and stuff in a classroom. So depending what types of activities you're trying to do, trying to keep things cheap for you. But as a student club, you are eligible to reserve space by being a student group. Second thing, pretty big benefit because a lot of people try to get into the involvement fair and we get very limited on space. But by being a registered club, you are eligible to promote yourself as such every semester. Our involvement fair this semester is on February 5th. The registration for this is available on Involved It TU. So, and I will say, like almost always, we run out of space. So I know we're not at max capacity yet, but everybody waits to kind of the last minute to put in the request. So if you definitely want to get a table for the upcoming involvement fair, highly encourage you to make sure that you register for the upcoming fair. The involvement fair is from 4 to 6 on February 5th. And the registration form will stay open through, I think, Thursday or Friday on the first week. I think it's Thursday on the first week of classes. So there's not too much time left. Another question, is room considered on any campus event, for example, in the Glen? Yes. Anytime you're trying to reserve any space, so even if you want to do like a table in the Union or something like that, 25 Live would be the place that you would put in the request. If you can't find the specific room you're trying to reserve or the Glen for some reason, there's an option where you could type find me a space and then just write in the comments like I'm trying to reserve this space, and they will tell you it may be that space isn't reservable, or they may say like, oh yeah, we can look into that and we'll let you know. All right, for the other questions about space and stuff, there is a session in the second block where you can meet with ECS. I will suggest definitely try to go to that session if you have a chance to pop in and ask some questions. Otherwise, I'll hang out at the very end of the summit. So if you have some questions, I can get into some more specifics with you guys, okay? Package one benefits being on Involved It TU, we talked about. WordPress site or email alias, this is kind of like most people don't do a lot with websites anymore, especially because social media is so prevalent. But if you want your own quote unquote WordPress site, which is a form of a website, that is one of the available things you can get as a student organization, or an email alias, which it's different than an email account. But I use the example, if you had, for example, homecoming@towson.edu, it then reroutes all the mail to whoever you'd like, but generally like the officers, maybe the advisor, and then groups can use that to promote. There's a form for this if you're interested in these things. It's on the Involved It TU under campus links to submit. Just Kate, fill out this thing. It's just not an email account, so just be aware of that. All right, posting privileges. I talked about this, but being able to post on campus, and then special fund requests. So these are specific pools of money that SGA has set aside that any group can technically ask for. They generally have to be submitted at least 4 weeks prior to the event, and these funds are not infinite. So if they run out of money, they may not be available. You can find a link to this from the SGA website. You can find a link from the Involved It TU to the SGA website through campus links. A couple examples of some of these funds is like the Just Do It fund, for if you have an idea for your club you're trying to do an event that's never been done before on campus as a brand new initiative, you can put in a request for this specific fund. Or the Collaboration Fund, if you're working with another student organization with a different purpose to put on an event. This is a way you can kind of work with a different group, and there's some money set aside. Aaron was promoting this too, the idea of like doing things with different organizations to get more members at one event. But those are some funds that are available to you as a club. So those are available for all student organizations. Let's talk about some of the benefits you can get if you choose to advance in Tiger packages, okay? So packages 2 and 3. At package 2, you're going to get access to 2 supplemental requests from SGA. I'll explain what that is in just a second. And then at package 3, you'll get the ability to request a budget from the SGA with 3 specific accounts: activity, equipment, and advertising, and 3 supplemental requests. And I'll talk about like what this means in terms of budgeting in a short bit. Supplemental requests from SGA are one-time requests for funds for a single event or activity. But what's I say good about these types of requests is it can encompass all the parts of the activity. This gets a little bit more technical with the way SGA does its budgeting. There's like 4 different types of accounts: equipment, printing and advertising, activity, travel, etc. What you can do with a supplemental request is say, hey, we're going to do, I'm making this up, but we're going to have a block party and we need money for a DJ, we need money for food, we need money for setup with ECS, and we need flyers we need to print out flyers to market the event across campus. I listed a lot of things there. One supplemental request, you could request all of those things because it's for that single event or activity, okay? Even though that spanned a lot of different items, okay? The request has to adhere to the SJ financial policy. There's a lot of details about like what goes into the SJ financial policy. Not going to go over all those here, but you can kind of read about like there's certain things SGA won't fund. For instance, like they won't pay for t-shirts or giveaways. So if you're trying to request for those, they're not going to approve them for a supplemental request. There's a form that you can fill out to request the supplemental. You're going to have to provide research for the cost of your request. So, you know, a quote from your DJ, a cost estimate from ECS for your setup, a food estimate from wherever you're getting your food from, things of that nature. And they have to be submitted 4 weeks in advance. So that's important to know that you don't wait to the last minute. You theoretically, if you're a package 2, 3, or 4 group, right now, you could put in a request for any time this semester. You could put in your stuff for April or May and make sure you get it locked down because the amount of money in the supplemental fund is limited. So if it runs out, then your request might not be granted because there's not enough funds. Okay. Last big thing to note about this is that SJ funding is only available for undergraduate student orgs. This is because our SGA is funded solely through our undergraduate student fees. There is limited funding for the graduate student groups through the GSA, which is the Graduate Student Association, but their process looks a lot different. And I'm only talking about this because the undergrad one is much more, there's way more groups that fall in this category. Another question, does the club have to pay for flyers or is it covered by sponsor to you? So as a part of the budgeting process or supplementals, you could request flyers as a part of that. There's an account called printing and advertising, but if you don't have money in that account from your organization, your group would be required for paying those costs. So the question is, if you asked for a budget and you had that money put into your account for flyers, it would be covered. But if you didn't, or if you're a new group in this case, and you haven't put money into that account because you haven't advanced in Tiger Stripes, then you would have to pay the cost for your own flyers. All right. Package 3 and 4 benefits. And this is requesting a budget for SGA. So supplementals are the one-time request for funding for single events or activities. Budgeting is requesting essentially all of the funds that your group needs for the following semester. So right now, groups in this spring are going to be putting in requests for all of the money that they need for the fall semester. So that could include all of your printing and advertising. So flyering budget, events you want to do, if you're whatever, all of that stuff would be that falls under activity, equipment, and advertising would be put in this semester. To really quickly describe what activity, equipment, and advertising are, activity is things like if you're contracting people, so a DJ, food, those types of things to actually do activities, it would fall under that account. Equipment would be generally ECS setup costs. So if you needed sound equipment, tech, things of that nature. Equipment, advertising is exactly what it sounds like. Printing, marketing, things of that nature would all fall under advertising. There's one fourth account called travel. So travel account is a package 4 benefit. So if you want to travel as a student organization and request funds to have that covered, you would need to be package 4. Package 3 gives you access to all the other 3 accounts. So package 4 gets 4 accounts, package 3 gets 3. The key thing is that you do need to request the budget and you have to follow the steps to request the budget, which I'm not going to go about in this session because there's a full other session dedicated to that here at the summit. So in the next block, if this is something you're thinking about as a group, like, hey, we want to get a budget for next fall, you have to have somebody attend the treasurer's workshop. So if someone from your group's not going there during this session, somebody from your club or you should go next session to the treasurer's workshop, and they'll go into detail about how to go about requesting the funds. Okay. All right. And then last thing for package 4, so this is our highest package that we offer. It requires 150 points. So you get all the benefits from package 1. You get the 3 supplementals. You get a budget, the ability to request a budget with activity, equipment, advertising, and the travel account. They'll also put $250 in your account that you can use for food, for meetings. You can only get this once per year. So that means if you use all $250 in the fall semester, you can't get another $250 in the spring. Or you can, but you don't have to use it all for one meeting. You could split it up like 100 here, 50 there, whatever's fine. $150 for organization banner, can only get it once per year. And then you also get the opportunity to place your room reservations earlier than other organizations for specifically in this semester in the spring. So that will help you make sure that you'll get the spaces that you want for your events and activities for the upcoming year. Question, is the status of the club defined by the level they're at the start of the semester? Can it change as the semester rises? Groups cannot change during the middle of the semester. So whatever your status is at the beginning of the semester, that's what you'll be for the current semester. At the end of this semester, we add up all of your points, and then you'll advance to that package at the beginning of the next semester. Good questions. All right. This is a little bit more information about the banner, food for meetings, how to go about requesting them. Essentially, this is in here, but you don't really need to know other than you get them, okay? So those are really our 4 packages, the different benefits that they offer. And if, I will take some questions at the end if there's things you want to know about specific benefits, but in order to get them, you're going to have to earn some points to get there. So I mentioned anywhere from 50 to 150 points. The biggest thing to take away is that all the point opportunities will be on the Tiger Stripes Google Doc. So, you will be able to go there to find all the specific things that you need to do. And if you're trying to get a budget or, whatever for this semester. But I wanted to go through a couple of examples of things so you can kind of get a sense for like, well, what types of things would we have to do if we want to aim for 100 points or something like that. So I think this is probably the easiest thing because a lot of groups do this on their own. But for example, hosting an event on campus. So if your group is doing any events this semester, there's only a couple of caveats you have to do to earn 10 points essentially for your student organization. The first is that the event needs to be open to all students. It can be on campus, virtual, that part doesn't matter. But it has to be an actual event. So like holding a weekly meeting doesn't count. If you're doing tryouts, it doesn't count. A fundraiser doesn't count. Tabling in the union doesn't count. But if you're doing, let's say you're bringing in a professional speaker, like we brought Aaron here today, right? Like, hey, we're going to bring in a speaker for our event. That would count for points. That would count as an event. You could say guest speaker, okay? The event, to get your points, though, the big thing is the event has to be posted on Involved It to you prior to the event in order to receive credit. And that's how we, as our office, we track it. So Abby specifically, she goes through and as events are put in, if your group hasn't gotten these 10 points already for the semester, you put an event, she will then mark off on the Google Doc for you that you guys get 10 points for hosting an event. The steps are here for how to put an event on Involved It to you. I won't go over that. There is this other thing called the master events calendar, events.towson.edu. Some of you might be aware of this. That is a completely separate site from Involved It to You, and we can't really track it on that site. So you can definitely post it there. I'd encourage you to, promote your event as much as possible. But if you want to get these 10 points, you have to post it on Involved It to You. And last thing, to get credit for this event, you have to post it prior to May 13th, which is the deadline. I have another question here. If an organization falls from package 4 to package 1 or 2, I assume the budget that was requested would be taken away. Yes, that is correct. So for example, let's say this semester you request a budget from SGA for the fall, but then you only get to package 1 or package 2. Package 3 is the requirement. for receiving a budget at a minimum. So you wouldn't receive a budget next fall if you didn't make it to package 3 or 4. All right. Another way you can earn 10 points is hosting a collaborative event with another organization. So this one, you could technically do the last thing I just showed you of hosting an event and this one and get 20 points for one single event. The key thing for here is same thing, has to be open to all students on campus or virtual. Same thing about what counts as a meeting, but it has to be hosted with another organization who has a different purpose than your groups. So using Aaron's example, they were an a cappella group. They did an event with the Tea Society, which drinks tea. That's two different groups coming together to do an event. That would count, and they could earn 10 extra points for your club. There is a form on Involved It TU under campus links for that you have to fill out to get these points. This one is done after the event. So if you posted the event on Involved It TU before, you would get 10 points for posting it, and then you did the form afterward, you would get 10 points for hosting a collaborative event. You'd be up to 20. Another question here. Since I am a new group and starting at 1, if my group gets to 100 points this semester, will we get package 3 for next semester? Yes, you would. Does this mean we should plan for a budget for the fall now, or then to submit it for fall 2025? Yes, to your question, if you are thinking you want to get a budget for next fall, you need to go to the treasurer's workshop, and you can still put in the request now, even though you're package 1. So long as you finish at package 3 or higher, you'll get the budget for next semester. All right, community service. So this is a great way, for your organization not only do some good, but if depending on what your organization's purpose is, you can find a lot of ways to serve in the local community or sometimes even on campus to earn credit for your organization. The way community service is calculated is a little bit different than some of the other things that we've talked about so far. This is counted on a per member basis. So what does it mean? So for every hour of community service a member of your organization completes, you can get 1 Tiger Point. So let's use the example I had posted here. If you took 10 of your members on a weekend, they went downtown and did a service project for 5 hours, that would be 10 members going downtown times 5 hours. That's 50 Tiger Points. And currently there's not a maximum for this semester that you can you do as much service as you'd like. So if you're getting close to the deadline, you ran out of opportunities and you need to make up some points, service is an option. Couple things, service hours cannot be double counted for more than one organization. So let's say I'm in 5 student groups. I can't go do 5 hours of service and give 5 Tiger Points to every single group. They could divide them up. I could give 1 point to every single club and that'd be fine, like 1 hour on each group's pay, for each group. You'd have to split them, or you could say, I just want to do the 5 hours with this group and I'm going to have it counted that way. Okay. So essentially you can't double count your time. What counts as community service? I get this question a lot, and making sure people understand. So community service is completed at a 501c3 nonprofit organization or serves a community or skill in need. Services completed without receiving payment or remuneration for services completed. Service is considered like an active is an action. So you need to be actively doing something to essentially serve somebody, right? I think a lot of groups sometimes confuse service with philanthropy, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But if you're looking for service opportunities, our civic engagement office can help you with finding things to do around in the local community. But if you need ideas, we can definitely get you some assistance if you're like, hey, we want to do something with service, but we don't know how. Or even if it's trying to pull something your group's mission is into doing something that's related to service, that is a great way. I think some of our a cappella groups, they've gone and they've sang at nursing homes or things of that nature. So, if depending on your group type, there's a lot of potential options here for what that service could look like. But it usually is going to fall with you actually interacting personally with the community in some way. The question, how would we record hours of completed? How to log your service hours. Look at the next slide. Not a paid actor, I swear. Okay, so these are the step-by-step instructions, but all the hours have to be documented under your organization's Involved It TU page. This is step-by-step how to go about and putting them in. Our office, specifically our student organization ambassadors and Abby, do the bulk of tracking. But essentially, you as the officer of the club, let's use that example of you took 10 people downtown for 5 hours. You can go in, uninvolved it to you, and so long as they are on your group's roster, you can say Chris was there for 5 hours this Saturday, and we, fed or we sorted food at the Maryland Food Bank for 5 hours, something along those lines. Okay, service, etc. This is what you're going to need, though. You're going to need a detailed description of what the activity was and a verification contact from the service site that you did the service. So the verification contact needs to be from the service site. It cannot be a member of your student organization, with very, 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 very limited exceptions. So what this means is, I would contact somebody at the Maryland Food Bank. I'm like, hey, I put your email down as the verification contact for this? Great. If you need somebody if for some reason your service project there's not a person at the service site that you can use for some reason, talking to your advisor, if they can confirm, you could use your advisor, but really should be the service site. Hours have to be logged for each student that participated and not a lump sum. So if you had 4 people that went for 6 hours each, you would put 6 hours under each person and not 24 hours under like yourself, like you weren't there for 24 hours. Okay. And the thing here in yellow that I want to really highlight that's the most important, it is very important that you list a complete description and verification contact to make sure that your hours get counted. Some examples of what not to submit: service in the park, food pantry. We read that and I'm like, what did you do in the park? Which park was this? Etc. Right? Like an example of an appropriate description: help stocking shelves and sorting items at the Maryland Food Bank. Very clear and descriptive, like, so we know what you were doing there. The deadline to submit all your hours for service would be May 13th, which is in line with the final deadline for everything else. Okay. Now, this is the one where I think sometimes people get confused with service. It's philanthropic donations. So we also want to promote the idea of, well, let's start with what counts as philanthropy. The desire to promote the welfare of others, expressed especially by the generous donation of money or gifts in kinds to good causes. Donated to a 501c3 nonprofit, TU Foundation, public school, religious organization, or a community in need. So let's say your organization wants to donate food items to the Maryland Food Bank. That would be considered philanthropy if you were giving something, right? Like, I'm giving food items or I'm doing a coat drive. That would be considered a philanthropic effort. You're not specifically serving. Going to the Maryland Food Bank and sorting the cans for the site, that would be considered service. You can still earn points, though, for philanthropy. And the way it works is for every $20 worth of either money or goods that your group donates, you can earn 1 Tiger Point, and there is a form that you would do to submit. You will need to upload a receipt or a letter from the charity or an email screenshot of what was donated and how much was. And these sites are usually very good with, like, they know they get asked for this stuff all the time for tax purposes. So they'll be able to provide you something that you can upload to that form. So let's use an example of, let's say your organization wants to participate in a breast cancer walk, right? Typically, a walk, you're not going to actually be serving a community. You're walking in the walk, right? Like, if you're working with breast cancer patients or something at a hospital, that's different. But if you're walking, the walk isn't actually the impact that you're having on the community. But when you're doing a breast cancer walk, that sort of situation is you're generally raising money to donate to breast cancer research or to help support breast cancer patients, right? So using that example, if your organization raised, $100 for as a part of this effort, or whatever number, 100 divided by 20 would be 5 points that you would earn for your organization. Okay, so that's the differences between philanthropy and service. All right, and the last one here I wanted to kind of promote is one's going to come at the end of the semester. So if you're looking for a final 10 points for your club, on May 7th, we'll be doing a transition workshop in the University Union. And this will be a great opportunity for, especially if you're one of those graduating seniors for your club, or you have a lot of members of your executive board that are graduating, coming to this to set up your next group for success. There is a lot of workshop and event opportunities throughout the on the Tiger Strips Google Doc that'll be available this semester. So I just put this one as an example one, but you can pick others that may be of more interest or direct value to your club. But just know there's going to be a lot of them that look like this. This one is worth 10 points. Others will say something like 5 points minimum, or 5 points per person, 10 maximum, which means you could have 2 people go to get 10 points. And sometimes it's worth as much as 20 points for a single person, depending on what the activity is, like some of these longer events. I mentioned the calendar. The calendar will be listed on Involved at TU, and you can find them sorted by leadership, wellness, and community development opportunities. Pick the ones that are of the most interest to your group. If we get sometimes we get asked by campus departments to include additional opportunities throughout the semester. When that happens, we will update that calendar so you can go there to kind of check it out. All right, hold this for a second on questions because I'm going to do that at the very end. Let me just wrap up the last couple of slides first. What package is right for my organization? So the kind of cool thing about the Tiger Strips program is you got the freedom of choice. And what I mean by that is, like, I will not say that I encourage all groups to go for package 4. Package 4 groups are not better than package 1 groups. It's really about what does your group need. And maybe in the spring semester, your organization has a giant event. So it makes a lot of sense in the fall to earn a lot of points to get funding for that big event. But maybe you guys don't have a lot of stuff going on in the fall and you don't want to do all the points. Totally cool. What you guys need to decide as a group is what resources is going to best serve your organization and what things do you want to do. So have a conversation with your executive board, talk with your members. And that way, if you're making a plan to reach, let's say, 100 points to get a budget for next fall, you guys all know as a club, like, all right, here's what we're going to have to do. And everybody's going to kind of have to pitch in and help. So it doesn't all fall on you as the president or one of the student leaders to have to do everything. The biggest trap you can fall yourself in is, like, you do all this time requesting a budget and you wait to the last week of the semester and you're like, oh my gosh, we need to earn 80 more points. And then you're like trying to go to everything in the last couple minutes or organize a giant service project. So I recommend starting early so that you can have set up yourself for success for later. Tracking, I mentioned this, it's all on the Google document. I strongly encourage you to check us. So we're human. We do update this thing manually, but like every time you guys submit events on Involved at TU, put in forms, attend events, we will go through and we will put X's or the point values in the columns. Now, what I would say is, let's use the summit as an example. Like, if you emailed me 2 minutes after the summit and said, hey, we're missing the X, well, okay, great. We haven't gotten to it yet. But if it's like 2 weeks go by, you see a bunch of other groups have the X in the summit column, but your group's is missing, being like, hey, Chris, we should have an X. We were at the summit. And we sometimes make a mistake. Maybe we put it in the wrong thing. We missed your name, whatever the case might be. You forgot to sign in. Like, we want to sort it out before the end of the semester so that you don't have your points or your status as a club negatively impacted. The key deadlines you need to know for this semester: March 1st, May 13th. These are the 2 deadlines. You will get lots of email reminders about them, but if you want to just make a mental note, these are when these specific things are due. And then lastly, the May 13th deadline and beyond. So after May 13th, probably like in the next day or two after that, during finals, I will meet with SGA and Abby, and we are going to go through every single student organization on the Google Doc, and you will get assigned a package for fall 2025 based on how many points you completed this semester. There is zero surprise here. You can go on at any time and add up the points yourself and see how many things have been submitted. So it should not come as a shock to you. So I strongly encourage you to be tracking your status and point totals throughout the semester, so by the end you got to the goal that you were aiming for. And then we will send an email out and update it on your Involved at TU page prior to the next semester. Starting fall 2025, you'll then get all of the benefits. So if you qualified for a budget and you requested one this semester, all that will be available to you starting in 2025. If you think that we did something wrong or made a mistake, you can always email us. If you do it before this May 13th deadline, me and Abby will sort it out for you and make sure that it's correct. If you wait until after, like, hey, Chris, you didn't mark down that we attended the summit, and you email us in September, we're going to be like, okay, you literally waited forever to tell us, and you're going to have to make a formal appeal to the SJ Judicial Board. And you don't want to have to do that because it's just extra, like there's a chance they won't grant it depending on the situation. If you need help, myself, Abby, and Marachi are here to help support you guys. So if you need something, we do take individual meetings. So if you're just like, hey, Chris, could I come by and like do a review of where we're at with Tiger Points? We're trying to put a strategy to get together to get to 100 points. Happy to do it. But the longer you wait to do that, the harder it is for us to give you choices and opportunities. So, definitely use us as a resource if you need it. Okay. All right. We have a little bit of time for questions. So if anybody has any questions, I'll take them right now, and then I'll talk quickly about the break afterward. But does anybody have any questions? Also, if you want to unmute and ask, you can do that too if you prefer that instead of typing. I see Abby was answering questions for me in the chat, so thank you for that, Abby. Okay. Oh,
I
thanks, Nate.
I
Oh,
got something real quick. I think we should have also had a transition thing. You said at the end of the semester there's gonna be a transition
Yes.
presentation. I think that should have been at the beginning too. Like I noticed it kind of it, but I was not given very much direction and did not have a lot of time to experience. So that would have been very nice like now. But I'm learning a lot now too, so appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, part of the goal of the summit is to do some of that training for you, hopefully throughout today. So I will say, especially if you're new to your position, you can see there's so many sessions we're offering, right? But you can't be everywhere, and we're not going to make people come for 6 hours and go to every session. There will be everything's going to be recorded though. So I would definitely encourage you, like, hey, we're thinking about doing some events. Go back and rewatch like the event 101 planning workshop that Kelly did, just as an example, right? So you can get all the information because it can be a lot. But I would say, Connor, if you need like specific help or you want more guidance, also you can reach out and I'm happy to meet with you or talk with you about that. Obviously, you could use your advisor as well too. There was a request to go back to how to log service hours. Abby is putting it on there. This how to log, if you go to the this is why I wanted you to know the Google Doc. Like if you hover over the service hour column on the Google Doc, everything that's typed here pretty much will be listed there, including the step-by-step instructions. So I kind of we tried to like dummy proof it in a way where it's like, I can't remember what Chris said, or I lost the PowerPoint. The Google Doc will contain everything. How do we actually log our activities, submit them for points? So if you're talking about, George, are you talking about service hours? So for most things, workshops and the others, when you go there will be a QR code that you will scan, and they'll basically come to me/Abby, and we'll just give you the credit. It'll say it on the Google Doc though. The service hours, when you do these steps, like you log in at the top right, you click the bubble that says service hours, you click add service hours, you type the name of the student, you type in the activity and the verification. When you click submit, it comes to us, we add the points for you, right? So literally everything, it's kind of like go to the Google Doc and it'll tell you how to submit it for points, and kind of step by step by that. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for right now. If there are more questions, I will take them in just a moment. If you are here for the break for student organization networking, here's what we're going to do. So we have about 10 minutes or 13 minutes. If you'd like to be put into breakout sessions to meet some other student organizations, Abby, are you ready?
Yes.
Do you want them to type something into chat?
Yeah, if you want to network, just type networking into the chat, and then I will put you in breakout rooms with other people who also want to network. Just so we're putting you with people who will actually talk. So just wait patiently while I do that. But you'll be put into a breakout room, and I think it pops up on your screen.
Abby, I just realized something.
Yes.
I fully forgot to record my session.
Oh no.
It's already recording, Chris. It's fine.
Wait, is it?
Yeah, I see the recording button.
Oh my gosh. All right, great. We'll do it in editing.
Do you want to stop it now or
I don't
pause
know.
it?
Shemai, when you're gonna start yours after this, we're gonna have to cut it anyway. Red will have a little extra work to do. It's fine. Oh
So
gosh.
don't pause it.
No, it's fine for right now. We'll do it and
Okay.
we'll take care of it once it's done. Jeez.
Okay. Yeah, it still says recording in my corner. So.
Yeah, thank you. Unintentional error in my favor, I guess.
Yeah, it worked out.
Jeez. All right, for everybody else that isn't interested in that, if you're just joining us and you want to network, type networking, and Abby's gonna help get you into a breakout room. If not, enjoy your break, go get some food, chill, grab a drink. The next set of breakouts will start at 3:10. So after you're done taking your break, you can go to whichever session you would like to.
Hopefully now you see the breakout rooms for those of you. I'm not sure. Can you see if people are in them?
Hold on, Abby. I can see you've got 4 people in this one, 5 in this one. Yeah.
Okay, so if anybody else wants to go into a breakout room, just put networking into the chat and I will add you to one.
I'm sorry to the person who just messaged me directly. I'm sending you a link right now. The treasurer's workshop will not be here. The next treasurer's workshop, I will put the link in the chat for you though. So this will be the link to the treasurer's workshop. Oh, sorry, Kelly beat me to it.
It's okay. You were talking. I was gonna say.
Yeah, I'm trying. I appreciate. It's funny because a lot of people had like private message me questions, so I was like answering other things. And
Yeah,
then
no, you're good.
Jamal, I'm not. Oh, if you're talking about proof that you were at the Tiger Stripe session, no. But if you didn't sign in at the beginning, do the link that Abby just sent you. I will say when you go to the treasurer's workshop, they're going to make you sign in there because that's a separate requirement for getting credit for requesting a budget. The event planning workshop is done. There is a workshop that Event and Conference Services is going to host in the second session. I'll let Kelly just put it in the chat if you want Kelly instead of so you can go to that one. Otherwise, Kelly, who was the presenter of that session last time, she will we'll have her session recorded as long as she remembered to record it to send out. Kelly, I had a mild panic attack. I thought I forgot to click record. Apparently, I left it recording, so we're okay. But we
That's
just
good.
have to cut it.
No, Janaya helped me. I couldn't, my record button went hidden behind all the too many screens that I had open, but Janaya was able to get it. So ours is recorded, and we'll be able to send it out, Kendra, to you.
Kelly, I think you sent the wrong link to the Treasure Workshop.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I just see it says Gallup, so it was
Yeah, that's definitely the wrong link. Sorry about that. Clearly copy did not work. What is happening?
I'm gonna delete your comment just so
Yeah, please do.
I was gonna say, in case anybody is interested, if you want to read through all of the descriptions and all of the activities, geez, all of the breakout sessions that we're gonna have in the next block, this link, um, the Involved It to You event one has everything. So you can go there and kind of read through all the links if you want to kind of map out where you're going to head next.
Chris, I will give a shout out to everyone who came to the event planning session. We had some great questions.
Nice.
We went super fast through the material, so there would be time at the end, and really good questions were asked. I popped in to Sarah's session to remind her to record. I popped in to James and Heather, reminded them to record. And then I texted Carolyn and Susan to remind them because I wasn't sure if the first treasurer's workshop was done yet. I didn't want to
Gotcha.
interrupt.
Just so everybody is aware, that is still hanging out in this space. If you're looking to attend the marketing and recruitment session for student orgs, that is going to be in this room. So you don't need to go anywhere. In about 5 minutes, once the break's over, Shamaya and Afkar will be leading that session right here.
Sorry, just to clarify. So Kelly, you told everybody for the next breakout session to record?
Yes,
Okay.
I am checking the list. Well, I did not tell Shamaya and Afkar because they're here.
Right.
And you've got them.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Abby, I just sent a message to the breakout rooms, letting them know we're gonna close them in like a minute. Abby, if you want to go remind the other, unless you already did it, the other people to record, you can go do it now.
Okay.
Okay, welcome back from your breakout sessions. This session is level up your impact, strategies for marketing and recruitment. If you're looking to go to a different session, the involved link is listed. Feel free to hop to where you're trying to get to. I am going to stop the recording.